Hello, everybody. This is Carrie Mubarak at wooingnature.life, and this is the full moon view for November 12th, 2019. Just to let you know a little bit about what's going on around the full moon time. Everybody knows the full moon is a time when the energy is very high. People tend to act differently on full moons, or you may be feeling extra sensitive emotionally or energetically or even intuitively during that time. But the full moon, as opposed to the new moon, is more or less an opportunity for you to reflect on accomplishments or to look at what you would like to accomplish. If you would like to set goals, it's a great time to do that, but it's also a time to look at how far you've progressed in relationship to those goals as well. The full moon this time is in Taurus. And usually, when there's a moon in Taurus, we have a tendency to want to have the urge or have the impulse to feel more secure, safe. We want to be cozy. We want to be close to people that feel like family or friends or that we're very close to. So we have a tendency to want to spend time with them, more so than in a situation where things are where people are not people that we're familiar with. The energy of the full moon is usually felt for a couple of days before and a couple of days after, so you can expect to feel this for at least 2 or 3 days or more. Um, in general, some people may feel it right dead on, and then other people may feel the lingering effects of it. But in general, Taurus wants us to feel stable, likes security, likes creature comforts, and then also likes sensual pleasure. So if you're feeling a little, horny or whatever, that's probably because of the full moon energy too being in Taurus. Now, there is an indication here around this moon and change that's coming in. Change has been happening and continues to happen. Change is always happening in our lives, but this is a time of significant change right now. And so there are subtle messages that are coming through to help guide you toward where you need to be. It's about self actualization, self realization, and it's also about raising your energy vibration up higher as a collective and then also individually. So, those changes that are taking place in the atmosphere or that are taking place astrologically do have an effect on us as an individual or as on an individual basis, but then those changes that we need to make internally are also happening simultaneously. Everything happens in synchronicity. In the laws of nature, everything is a part of the whole. And so when there's a bigger change happening, we as individuals are going through our own individual changes as well. So that the Taurus energy is kind of alerting us to some of the messages that may be coming through subliminally or in the form of symbols or metaphors that will, in a lot of ways, inform or direct our path. And our path is set. That's a part of our destiny, a part of our fate, and so it's pushing you along the way a little bit. So a few things to kind of pay attention to is those unseen forces, those unseen helping hands, angels and ancestors and spirit guides that are around us at all times that are pushing us and that are trying to give us those little subtle messages. So pay attention to your television, pay attention to songs that come on the radio, little whispers or little something that somebody says that resonates strongly with you. Pay attention to those things because that those are the messages that are then going to push you toward the end that you're looking for, that are going to push you towards your goal or away from a goal if it's something that's really not intended for you. So have your ears open, have your eyes open, have your third eye open, and keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening around you, and just be on the listen because that information is coming through. There's a couple of other things I wanted to share with you. The moon energy also talks about mastering control issues in this particular degree of Taurus. It's 19 degrees of Taurus, so it talks a little bit about mastering your control issues, knowing what you have an influence over and what you don't have an influence over, and what you can exert energy toward and why you're exerting the energy. So if you have influence over something or someone or a situation, okay, fine, but then like um, how are you doing that? How is your energy influencing the situation? And then ultimately, how can you in this situation create some kind of stability, or especially during times of change? Because when things are changing, we all want to feel secure. Taurus is saying that we all want to feel secure. We all want to feel safe. When things are changing, sometimes you don't feel like you're in balance, or you don't feel like you can get a handle on things. It's not about control. It's about knowing what you can influence, and how you're going to influence it. And then the things that you can't control, you just release and let go of those things. Okay, so we have the moon energy in opposition to the sun in Scorpio. So the sun is still in Scorpio, also in 19 degrees. And the sun in Scorpio in the 19th degree is about faith, and about faith being the thing that really is going to free you in the end. Sometimes when you're on a faith walk, you can't see what's in front of you, and that can feel unstable. Talking about that Taurus need to feel stable and secure. A lot of times we as human beings feel most secure when we know what's happening, when we can see, okay, this is going to happen first, and this is going to happen next, and this is going to happen after that. But when you are walking in faith, you don't see all of that. So then how do you feel secure? How can you feel free when you don't feel like you have your feet under you, or when you don't feel like you're on solid ground? Well, that faith walk is there to open up some other avenues, another sense of stability, another way for you to feel secure, so that you're not relying on the material, or you're not relying on what's happening physically, but you're actually relying on the Creator. And that's where your faith comes in. So while these changes are happening, that sun energy in Scorpio is really getting to the place where things will be revealed to you. You've gotten to the end of that journey. Now you're starting to see the evidence of things hoped for. Now you're starting to see where, you having faith that this thing was going to happen, that it is actually starting to manifest for you. And then that becomes, your answer. That becomes your security. Your security is, again, not in the physical thing that's happening, but in the process of gaining the faith to know that what you are asking for is coming full circle and coming right through your door. And then as you're doing that internally, as you're working on your internal faith, then the evidence it multiplies. It comes into fruition. It's manifest right there before your eyes. But it takes faith to do that. Let's see. It talks about the worth of the moon energy trining Pluto in the 21st degree. Excuse me. It's about not measuring a thing's worth by its success, but by its process. So again, we're talking about the process, gaining faith in the process, waiting for those messages to come through and come clear to you by exercising faith in general. So real powerful time, real powerful messages coming through. All right, so I've gone to Colette Baron Reads, the Enchanted Map Oracle, to choose a card for each of the air signs here. I've got one for Gemini, I have one for Libra, and then I have one for Aquarius here. So we'll break both of these down, and then we'll go to the tarot to clarify. All right, so right here we have the Sacred Pool. This is for my Gemini friends. The Sacred Pool for me is when you have to clear and clean and cleanse, okay? The sacred pool is like a baptism. It's like going to a place to be renewed, or going to a quiet space within yourself to be renewed. It's like falling underneath the flood. It's about extinguishing some old fires, too. Could be that. Just a minute. Particularly those fires that create anger and create negative emotions that go with them. Um, excuse me one second. So the sacred pool is going in and cleansing is not just a physical thing, it's an emotional thing as well as a spiritual thing, and it's also a mental thing. So you just have to clear your mind space, you have to clear your head space, you have to you may have to clear out your physical space as well, especially if you are holding on to objects that are emotionally loaded. It could be things that you have collected from your previous experiences, relationships, or in another lifetime, so to speak, and you may be hanging on to objects that are connected to that. You may need to rid yourself of those objects, especially if they bring up negative emotions. If you are dealing with negative emotions, you need to go inside yourself and do a cleansing there as well, either through therapy, or it could be through prayer, meditation, whatever it is that works best for you, taking a long run, whatever it is that clears your mind and clears your headspace, you need to clear that out. And then, of course, your emotional space needs to be cleansed and cleared as well. That's so that you can hear and receive those messages that are coming through from Spirit. Again, we talked about this time of change and listening to Spirit for those messages that are coming in. But if you are cloudy, or if you are clogged up, in your mind, your body, and your soul space, then you may miss those messages because your mind is going. You need to have it clear. I highly recommend some meditation techniques for you all Geminis during the full moon. So if you want to start a meditation practice, I would highly recommend it, and this may be a good time to go ahead and start that. I'm seeing strength here in reverse, so I do see that things may have been difficult. You're trying to get through, you're trying to open a new door, you're trying to get past it, you're trying to get over whatever this thing is that's kind of keeping you closed, or is not allowing you to get to the next thing. And again, it's about clearing and cleansing out that energy space. You don't want to go into anything new with that old attitude, or with the remnants of the old attached to you, because you'll just drag that baggage into your next experience. And you want your next experience to be free and clear. You don't want your next experience to be tainted with outdated ideals, or outdated notions, or attitudes that aren't going to serve you and aren't going to serve the next situation well. I'm also getting the High Priestess here in the upright position, which means that this is a spiritual time. Of course, we're talking about a sacred pool. We're not talking about going and jumping in at the Y. We're talking about spiritual baths. For those of you who are familiar with doing a spiritual bath, is when you go in and make intentions, and then you either wash your head, or wash your hands, or wash your body, or you can submerge yourself in water. It's like a baptismal. It's like the symbolic act of cleansing oneself. Being naked is about exposing oneself, or not hiding, or not trying to shroud anything, but just being completely open and bearing all, right? Some of that can be done, again, verbally, mentally, in therapy. It could also happen through a spiritual bath, or some kind of spiritual ritual, or it can happen through some sort of ceremony, if that's where you're inclined. But it is about reaching a higher spiritual level, and this energy of change that's coming through during the full moon, and has been coming through for a long time. The moon energy right now is just trying to alert you and send some messages to you about those changes, right? So this for you, or this time period for you, Gemini, is about getting getting in touch with your spiritual self, and that strengthening you and getting you out of this kind of humdrum situation that you're finding yourself in. I get that some of you all have been going through a lot. And it's just time to clear. It's time to clear and clean out. It's time to clean house. Um, and cleaning house is going to be the main focus, I'm going to say, during this full moon time period. All right, so we got the Knight of Pentacles here. So you're trying to get a handle also on your physical health or your physical well-being. It could be your money, it could be your home situation, but you're trying to just get a handle on that, and you want to get a handle on that quickly. But I feel like this is the process of getting there. It seems like one doesn't go with the other. Yes, it does. Everything is a part of the whole. So when you're thinking about your spiritual practice can have an effect on your money, your home, how good you feel about yourself. All of that could be tied in if that is your issue. And it looks like that's what it is. You got to get back to your spirit, Gemini. You got to find your way back to a good place. And I think that doing that spiritual cleanse is going to be very helpful to you. So I would say during the full moon, maybe plan to do a spiritual bath or do some kind of cleansing, energetic cleansing ritual would be really helpful to you. All right, moving right along to Libras. We've got the moon in reverse here. Actually, it accompanies the magic prayer. So this is a time for prayer for you during the full moon. It's a time to send up to the Creator that which you are needing, wanting, desiring, not just physical things, but also for your emotions. I've got the moon in reverse. So it seems like there may be some things of an emotional nature that you're still working through, or that you're still trying to get a handle on during the moon. And it's the moon time. So during this moon time or the full moon time, it may be a really good time to send up some prayers around that, to get clarity for that. And again, with that Taurus moon, it is all about you being able to receive the messages from Spirit and being able to hear those and sense those and be moved, because sometimes it's not like thinking. You're not thinking through the process. And I know air signs, this goes for all of you. All you tend to want to think through a process, but when we're talking about moon energy, it really is about feeling and sensing and being moved to do something, as opposed to thinking through the process so much. All right, so we've got the Temperance also in reverse. It's like thinking about what you're creating, what is being created, especially if you are still wrestling with emotional issues, that those emotional issues that you're still trying to work through can stir the pot a bit. Like it can make the thing that you're trying to create bubble up, or it can make the thing that you're trying to create burn, or something like that. You want to deal with the emotional side. You want to deal with those things that are lurking underneath the surface. And I'm feeling strongly that that's what the prayer is about, like to pray and ask during the full moon, to pray and ask for those things that are bubbling underneath the surface to come to the surface gently and in a way that you can palate it, or in a way that you can understand it, so that you can see how it's having an effect on your ability to balance out your lifestyle effectively. I'm getting that very strongly for you, Libra. Yep, and then I'm seeing like there's this time to go away and find your light. There's a time to find that light within yourself, to find that source within yourself. And I feel like once you deal with these underlying emotional issues, you'll be able to walk into that space with clarity and with a sense of clarity, and that it'll be positive for you as well. So full moon is the time to just pray and ask for whatever is lurking on the underneath Libra for it to be surfaced so that you can see how it's affecting your ability to balance out the things in your lifestyle, because I'm getting that there's a lack of balance, and for Libras that's rough because they like to have everything in balance, and the temperance is in reverse, which means the balance is not there. So if the balance isn't there, what is the reason for it? There's these underlying things that have to be sorted out, and that time spent alone is going to be helpful in making that happen. So I would take a solitary time during the full moon just to make those prayers and get that clarification going so that those messages can come through on the tail end of that moon. And if you can do it ahead of time, great. But just be aware of that. All right, Aquarius, what we have for you is ride the wave. So this full moon period is about connecting, most of all connecting to the star nations, to the spirits that are speaking through and to you. And in order to do that, you just have to be in the flow. And it looks like you're in the flow. It looks like you're already in that place, Aquarius, which is really, really good. It looks like a family, there we go, family type situation. This is something that you're desiring or wanting. Is to have everything together. Like, you are thinking about your legacy. You're thinking about the legacy that came before you. You're thinking about the legacy you're creating for the next generation. These are the things that are on your mind right now. And so the energy of the moon coming in is going to bring you messages about how to make that happen and how to make that connection. We've got the Two of Cups here, which to me, if you're talking about legacies and how your family or your parents or your grandparents left that for you and how you're going to spread that along. It is about having the right relationships. It's about building the correct relationships with that Two of Cups, being able to bond effectively and how to bond effectively, so that there isn't so much, so that there isn't this sense that, you don't have what it is that you need, or that you're not satisfied with what it is that you've been given, because what you're looking for is not necessarily about that kind of material. It really is more or less about the feeling that you feel from being connected to someone that you love deeply, and to be able to share what it is that you are putting down here on earth with the next generation, and being able to do that well. That's where your mind is now, Aquarius. It's on bigger things. It's not just on yourself. It's about how you and another person can then, apply both of your individual needs. Your individual talents, your individual stuff, your individual selves. How that then blends together. Okay, I apologize about the background noise. I'll try to hurry up and move this to another location. But the main thing, Aquarius, is that this is what your focus is. This is where your attention is, and then this is where you need to be listening for those messages. Okay? All right, I hope you have enjoyed the full moon view. I hope you have a great full moon. I hope you're having a great November. If you need me, please reach out to Kerri, Kerri, @wooingnature.life. Have a great day.